what it means to NASA's internal capacity and expertise when you shunt the bulk, virtually all of the human spaceflight capacity to the commercial sector. Because in my view, NASA's always worked alongside private industry. The question is, what kind of relationship has there been between the agency and its contractor community with that internal expertise? And so I wonder if you would comment about what that will mean in the long run to NASA's internal technical and scientific capacity.
That's really a very thoughtful question. Let me comment. As you describe, we really have learned how to do these things, not without risk and not without an occasional failure, but we basically know how to do them. And we do them by integrating just an extraordinary capability, both in the government or NASA side and in the industry side. If we decide that what we're going to do is cede all of this responsibility basically to industry, and this is not a knock on industry, it's just that they don't have this, what I call continuity of expertise capability that I'm describing in NASA. What will happen, in my view, is the good people in NASA, and there really are good people, they're not going to be satisfied with sitting in the back of the room and not, asking questions or not participating. NASA is a value-added organization. When I was a young engineer, it's why I went, because I could contribute, was my belief. So good people are not going to go do that. They're going to go look for other opportunities. The one thing that I really underline is good people always have a choice. I mean, they always have an opportunity choice. So good people will go to other organizations. That'll kind of be the beginning of what I would say will be the atrophying of the NASA workforce. I think that what will happen if I take Gene Cernan's scenario, which I personally subscribe to, I don't know exactly when, but we will find out what I believe to be the deficiencies in the commercial crew somewhere downstream. They will manifest themselves either in some development failures, significant cost growth, significant delays, industry not willing to continue to invest, but they are in our future. Then when we turn around for this workforce that you're talking about to bail us out, using that term, they won't be there. These good people will be off, I don't know doing exactly what, but this is not a capability that can respond to an off-on switch. I mean, we built this with a lot of investment, and so there are a lot of ramifications of the decisions that's facing you all, but one of which is the quality of this workforce as we go forward. And I don't think there's any question in my mind that, if implemented as proposed, the workforce will atrophy to the point that we will not have the ability to come to the rescue when the rescue is called for.
I'd like to talk about the importance of program continuity and stability, since the three of you have tremendous experience in this area. What does it really take to make these successful flights possible? I mean, as you know, Congress has directed NASA to continue the work on Constellation. We heard that from Administrator Bolden himself this morning. Yet, at the same time, the workforce is being told that by the agency that Constellation is dead. So can you talk specifically, the three of you, about the morale and the motivation and what happens to the workforce when you hear those conflicting messages? And I'd like to start with you, Mr. Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My information in this subject is largely anecdotal. I have received emails from a variety of sources within NASA and different NASA centers talking about the problems that the uncertainty of the current planning confirmation has engendered among the workforce there. And my sense from the number of such reports are universally on the side that morale has been degraded substantially, and indeed people are looking for jobs outside the NASA centers. I had the pleasure of talking with the recent shuttle crew this morning, and we asked them that question, and they seemed to think the morale was reasonably good in the area. Their possibilities from their perspective in the months ahead were that they could train to be on the space station, ISS, or they could go into some other managerial positions in NASA, or if they were military, they could go back to the military. That probably is not the best choices they would like to have for their future, but I would yield to others who have maybe more definite information than I have available.
Thank you. Mr. Cernan?
Well, I think they were being too kind that they said the morale is good. You know, you talk about the astronaut corps, and these guys are all, these young men and young women, they're scientists, they're engineers, they're just not pilots, they're just not young men and women running around in blue suits. They get down and dirty with Mr. Young's engineers out there and helping to design, develop, test 24/7 the spacecraft that they're eventually going to fly. And, you know, I asked a lady who works for NASA, who's an engineer, whose husband happens to be an astronaut. I said, you know, he just came back here a few months ago, and is he still on flight status? And she said, what flight status? You know, where does he go? Where does this young, talented, the best of the best, where do they go and what do they do? So it's hard for me I put myself in their place. And, you know, I was sort of in a way after Apollo 17. We were going to wait 5 years for the shuttle to become operational. And I said, well, I'm fortunate. I had flown 3 times. I've done my thing, and I wasn't sure I wanted to wait 5 years, so I went somewhere else. And you're going to find all those non-astronauts, all those engineers, all those technicians and support people. How can they not? I know Kennedy, the morale at Kennedy is not very good right now, and I can tell you Johnson is not much better. They are out looking to get ahead of the job-hunting game, because if this proposal goes forward, they're out of business. At least they're out of the kind of work they want to be into.
Right. Young.
I think the comments you've heard really are right on. I'll take a little different perspective. I've had the privilege of leading some large organizations, both within NASA and within industry. The fundamental challenge of somebody leading such a large organization is providing, one, stability, and two, an honest appraisal of the situation to a workforce. People, and you know, most has been associated with technology, space, national security activities. People don't look at that as a 5-day-a-week, 8-hour-a-day job. You know, it's remarkable what people will do, but they need to have an understanding. They need to have stability. And most of all, they need to have challenging work where what they do makes a difference. When you're in a job where what you do makes a difference, there's no limit as to what you apply. But if you're in a job where what you do might have no benefit tomorrow, such as a program being canceled, or you might not have a job tomorrow, that's when the time around the water fountain becomes the dominant time. So I can't overemphasize how important. I think the video that you showed, you know, probably is a demonstration of that. By the way, I mentioned earlier, but I didn't really come back knowing a little bit about it, how that came to be. That was the best of NASA and best of industry working together to make make what happened in there successful.
Just a quick follow-up, just a yes or no answer from the three of you. I know that you've had a chance to testify in the Senate, and you've had a chance to hear our panel earlier asking questions to Administrator Bolden. At this point, do you believe that the President's plan as proposed is executable? Mr. Young?
No.
Mr. Cernan?
Absolutely no, and we'll try to be extreme large cost to this country.
Yeah. And Mr. Armstrong? Yeah, your microphone, sir.
If the question is, would they be able to spend the money? The answer is yes. If the question is, could they receive value from it, I would say highly unlikely.